Hello and welcome along to Website Basics with your host Robert Smith. In this video we're going to cover the very important function of connecting a HTML file to a CSS file. What's a HTML file? That's all about content. What's a CSS file? That's all about style, and that will be covered ad nauseum in ensuing videos. But right now let's set up a site and do that. We did this in a previous video, but let's remind ourselves how to do it. First of all, I'm going to go to Window like this, to Workspace Layout, and make sure I'm on Classic like this to have the window the same as mine. Okay, and there we are on Classic. So now I'm going to go to Site, New Site like this. I'm going to call it My First Website. Now this local site folder, Dreamweaver saying where's all the assets. So I'm going to click on that, and in here I'm going to go navigate to this folder. There's My First Website. This is the folder we set up in a previous video, and I'm going to click Choose like that. And one more thing, I'm going to go to my local info, click on Default Images folder, and select this Images folder. As you can see, it's inside the same folder that we just chose, that because Dreamweaver now knows where it is. And I'm going to click Choose and Save. Now, there's a number of other things we could have done there, but that's enough. And as you can see down here on the right, we have a representation of that folder, so we can access any of the files inside it. Okay, so we already have an index.html which we made in a previous video, so I'm just going to double click on that and open it up. We also have a CSS file inside the CSS folder. Double click that and open it up as well. And when you're in Dreamweaver, we have this breadcrumb approach here to the files. Like, for example, if I want to look at my HTML file, I just click here. If I want to look at my index.css, you'll notice the difference that a CSS in Dreamweaver has this bright pink line across the top, and a HTML file usually only has that, depending on which HTML we're using. Okay, in this case we're using a HTML5 doc type. More of that later too. Okay, now to connect, there's a number of ways of doing it, but the simplest way to do it is over here in our Sites panel. You'll see a little, it looks like a little figure of 8 on its side. So I'm simply going to click on that, and now I'm going to browse to see if I could find, there's My First Website, there's my CSS, and there's the file that's inside. So I'm going to click Open like this. Now before I click OK, just have a look over here in your HTML file. Right now, in between what's called the head tag here, there's just these lines of type, just that. So the minute I click OK, we've had this. Let me go into code view to scare you for a while. It added this line of code. Now you could have typed that in yourself manually, but that's where Dreamweaver really shines. It knows exactly what to say and how to connect them together. Okay, now if we look at this, we have that. I'm going to save that file, Apple S to save it, and make sure that's the index is saved. And as you can see now, they are connected. Now they're not doing much. I'll just give you a really quick example of how we would use this, and then in ensuing videos we'll cover this ad nauseum. I'm simply going to put, as we did in the first videos, I'm going to put a H1 tag in here like this. Press return, close that, and type in hello like that. Close my tag with a slash. Again, that was covered. If I go to split mode like that and click on refresh, there's my word hello. Now this is part of what's called the default style sheet. So every time I type in a H1 like that, it'll look like this, black. I think that's Times Roman. I'm not sure what that font is, but that's the default. Now here's the beauty. I'm going to go through this process really quickly, and I will slow it down and cover it ad nauseum in other videos. But what I want to do is, I'm going to just put my cursor in there and click over here on this thing that says plus new CSS rule. Now all this is far too complicated for us at this stage, but just follow along. I'm just going to go to tag like this, because an H1 is a tag, and the fact that I had my cursor in there, Dreamweaver knows I want to restyle a H1 tag, and it's saying now where do you want to put it. Now we can put it in a couple of places, but we want to put it inside our inside our CSS file, so that's fine. Again, we'll cover this dialog box many times during this series of videos, but let's just play along. I'm going to click OK, and up comes this definition rule box. Now, if you're used to doing paragraph or character styles in something like InDesign, you'll feel quite at home here. For example, right now we've got that in black times Roman. I'm just going to change my font family to say Arial. Pretty hard to say that. I'm going to make it 36, and I'm going to just change the color to orange. I'm going to click apply, and look, it's changed my font. Now I'm going to click OK. What we just saw then is an example of why we use HTML and CSS together. This HTML file over here contains the content, and now this CSS file contains this rule. This rule was written for us by Dreamweaver. We didn't have to do any of it. We just had to tick a few boxes. Again, that's the joy of Dreamweaver. Now, that's the process of actually placing content on a page like this, and then using our CSS file, we'll tell it what to look like, much the same as we do in InDesign with our paragraph and character styles. Okay, thanks for watching, and we will elaborate on this ad nauseum in upcoming videos.